Adishima mami mamu nyina akwaba emamu aha eba UTV so ene ewe premo ato ene fie dai enti kasebo a yaboaboa no efiti nura nwumre na no pe ya bepem sabre no na yabo ne doso pro se me famrem se prem to kasebo ene efie da awie na kasebo no nyimakuo bi na so yasene ama yemu ayedru this way chocolate drink yesi de ohia eye nsuhye wunya bi na odi gu nsuhye mu na abobogu so na boa na mo ahoden akwa animu best point savings and loans na sense kakrabia ho nsensem aye de japa enu tese so pese kakrabia bi na wodo ho to wo so eye enu ti ye kan for best point savings and loans so edi amount se koho na wo mu hihye osika sem ye amount special eyes mineral water ochina eye weekend enu ti na ebia na ye dwuma de bi wo pensuo ene anono de aseve ewase me kan for special eyes mineral water ene drinks no amount flavors ahodo no nyina wo mu ewo bi YouTube nchine so eka ho ene nyumakuo ahodo bi a wo mu emu edru na wo mu eka ye ho a wo maso yesene emiede kasebo yi ebremu ene efie da awie yi na kasebo no edoso pa de ebedi mu akotene bi eni Honorable Ado Anodompre enso ede ato abanyanim se wonhwe na wofa nhyehyɛ ngu fom se de be ya fango bo na aba fom no ebetimi amabi aso enema so na enema so bo atumi akofom na dom kuma wo mo ewo mrahye bedwam wo mba no dani so ekyese aban suban ye a woda na die efa judiciary ehwo no wonhwe no wonsesa se de be ebetimi aboa ne anya sika etimi dia ma wo mo akyekere de wo mo eye ewo oman yi emu na Professor Bokpin so ede atudwa se aban ehia governance reforms na chese senhye papa bi etimi ekoso ewo oman mu na ye IMF mo amum ene ye hia eno betimi aboa ama yetimi akoyanim menemo kasai die nyumakuo bi ene enipa ahodo bi no ade a yabo wo maba so ewo Ghana oil ene gas awards ahodo a ekoso ewo oman yi mu nsem bi ka we hu ya editie na edihwe ne abo no so pride ebrem se prem se breka sebo ene fie de awie mi amebedi ho chiame eye musumfo adwoa obi ya obi ye munra kasebo no eni ye bo wura kasebo ni mu dia na ye beko ahoma no so na ye ne international relations expert baako owura adepsan ye de no atwetwe nkomo pani so akwadare ewo security ensensem mu pam na yenya nte ye se diplomatic disagreement ahodo bi ekoso ewo oman Burkina ene Ghana entem ne sa so ene se Burkina ambassador wo oman Ghana mu no yenya nte ye se Burkina aban no afre se wo mrafie ena afi so Ghana nim senior wono so ewo Burkina man mu ya wono so di ne dwuma ewo ho no so wo masamon se wo mra abankasi mu no mo ne entwetwe nkomo na ye hu adakode nti a amasa nkita hudi anase development no aba nti yenko owura Adib Sani enchen na wonkyerechire mu wu Adib mu akaba eba prem to breakfast boy so na bibia boko de
ye da yankopon ase
ye ma wa finshi apaso
Africa betia da
na edien pa na ekoso ewo oman Ghana ene Burkina Faso entem ya enam so ama ambassador wo oman Ghana mu a eye Burkina Faso na nam sini wo oman Ghana mu no ya to sa friends won san mrafie na ne wo Burkina Faso so no wo masamo no so wo mra wo mabankesi mu na wo mne no entwetwenkom edien na ekoso
yo mi da say yeah oman pinyin oko US and or your meeting be with U.S. Secretary of State, and during that meeting, or Kanyoma P with respect to the fact that Burkina Faso or more acquired the services of Wagner Group. So Wagner Group no or more Russian mercenary group are or more deployed to other countries beyond Burkina. In fact, or more Mali, any Central African Republic, any Libya, and even Sudan. And Western media always almost paint or more black as having been responsible for human rights violations, any civilian deaths, any RD. So I don't know, it incensed the Burkinabe authorities. In fact, Mitisa news no meaning say Asema Bafie. Because already any Burkina for collaborating at different levels, share intelligence. In fact, because about a month ago, share our Accra International Conference Center to talk about Accra initiative, no. And so Asema or Kano, it means Ghana are taking sides within the geopolitical, international geopolitical chess game. Because after the Second World War, if we are seeing chairman, between the East and the West, and Ghana always taking neutral position. But the fact that Afi, your own opinion, or call US, cultural assembly, so to speak, making it look like you take it stance and a say trust. And so Burkina authorities know and I'm not surprised. Say finally Omar withdraw Omar ambassador, and I've also summoned our ambassador there. To be honest with you, Minia, that statements by Omar Peñino are irresponsible and unfortunate because a best say normal be especially so far as our fight against terrorism is concerned. In fact, quote me anywhere, Asema or Kano, it would even expose us more to terrorism because here Burkinabe authorities no chain Americans your northern frontier. Because almost see, okay, fine, if Ghanaians are complaining, then we are going to let the borders open a bit higher. And so such statements, are very unfortunate.
Bambofo a womo ewo man Ghana mu womo ebefa free say development ya ekoso ewo man Burkina Faso ene Ghana mu kiu ben asese sese womo efa free mu afi so kra nhye ben ene sese womo eye se de be ye betimi abo ya hye so no ho ban ne titiri kra ya de hye a womo ewo eye atifido mantam mu ho no kwan ben ne sese womo etimi fa so womo betimi abo womo ho ban ye dan ya asi awie.
You see, there's a need for collaboration, partnership, innovation, trust, and confidence amongst various countries, West Africa, especially amongst Accra Initiative member countries, But GDN to me, terrorists are spreading all over the place. Okay, so I think Ghana, to restore that confidence. Because to be honest with you, my opinion was say progress making in the past. To be honest with you, and there will be a lot of work to be done to damage control. All right. So immediately, Ghanaian officials, dispatch Ghanaian officials to Burkina Faso and make them understand maybe the way our can is not what they think it is. And that still, we are committed to helping Burkina Faso to stem the tide of terrorism because they are immediate neighbor. And Burkina Faso cause a damage, because all they would have to do is to go like, okay, but some are complaining, and terrorists, no, Ghana, Burkina Faso, a sovereign country. And they be to ensure the safety of its citizens. Ghana, at the same time, you're called into defense cooperation agreements with UK, with Britain, Obia complaining. So the same way, almost call into defense cooperation agreement with whoever it is, aimed at ensuring, the sanctity of the state is preserved. We don't have any moral rights to tell them, say, they be, don't do it.
Yo, na ora, ade asem potin na omampani ekan ye. Mpese wuti mu bio, ade asem potin na omampani ekan ye a, enam so masesi anchinu ahyi we atumi aba.
See, Burkina Faso, omwa obtaining and securing and procuring the services of Wagner Group. Between Ghana and Burkina border. And a Ghana for power because it poses security threat to the country. Meanwhile, because at no point did Wagner threaten to invade Ghana and now threaten the peace and security of Ghana and now omuye BBR indirectly ebe say Ghana ye buying bosem.
And ye who cry baby okokano no. International platform no so
it was U.S. Secretary of State, meaning Joe Biden anymore. U.S. Secretary of State, with flanked by his ministers. Okay, and I think it's demeaning.
Okay.
Because explaining what Wagner does to the Americans. Because Opia using mercenary group. America only using Blackwater, Iraq. Only using Contras, Nicaragua, Egypt, Turkey, Britain, almost mercenary groups who are operating in various parts of the world. Okay, so where they are at the foot from. But the fact that Yeni Burkina are cooperating from nowhere, Ube Dani Omwechi, then go and report them to the US.
And it's just a no. Okay. Yo, already Sani, better was say. ewo nchechemu a ode aba ewo eye diplomatic dispute a ekoso ewo omai Ghana ene eye Burkina Faso entem owura adipsani eye international relations expert akwadare ewo security ensensemu pa yenko ensemfufuro mu na yenko pie mu ewo majority chief whip ye wo mrase bedwam wono aso na ye mrase bedwam ni ema ensanwam adwatri Honorable Frank Ano Dompre watoto asre abanse ebraso se obetimi de hyehye agu fom aboa na enema bo atimi aba fom fi se ne na ye ka no na ye ka kosi se fango bo a akosoro no nenam so ma enema bo aye den ti na nsen fango bo no aba fom de se hyehye to ho na eye enema so bo etimi eba fom.
So the cedi was down almost some 48% against the dollar from its initial position early this year. Presently, it has strengthened more than 23% since the start of December after the latest IMF visit. So I crave your indulgence to raise this matter of public concern, which found its way in many of our debates these past few weeks. This relates to the prevailing high cost of goods that mainly follow the depreciation of the cedi in the past 3 months. The concern also is that while we are currently experiencing a turnaround from the depreciation, the expected economic relief is not being felt by the ordinary Ghanaians since goods are still being sold at high prices. Speaker, I make this submission urging the executive and its policymakers to take additional measures directed at restoring price of food items and other goods to some sustainable level. We are all witness to what is happening currently. The fact that our local currency is gaining some strength against other foreign currencies, the fact that export price of petroleum products is going down. These are critical denominators in the determination of price of goods and services, and food items particularly. As we get closer to the Yuletide, so I think it's a matter of public interest. And we as a representative of the people should begin to speak to these concerns and urge the executive to show some leadership in restoring price of goods and particularly food items to an appreciable level.
Mr. Speaker, the culture of people almost encouraging sellers who increase their prices because of exchange rate deterioration to keep the price there. Why? Because by rise in prices, the government in power is on the back foot. It's unfortunate. The people who pay these high prices are our constituents. So for the same reason that sellers had to increase their prices because the cedi was depreciating, now that we see an appreciation in the cedi against the major currencies, I call on Honorable Jinapo and Honorable Defiamapo to tell the traders out there that in the same way, they should reduce prices because it's your own constituents who need them to do that. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And so I can understand that we are all happy that the cedi is gaining a certain level of momentum in terms of strength. But let's be very, very cautious. Because in economics, you are dealing with either monetary policy or fiscal policy. So if indeed the cedi is coming down, which means that the cedi is appreciating, which means your cedi is gaining and doing well, the first point we ought to see is from the Bank of Ghana. What is the policy rate? Your policy rate has increased from 24% to 27%. The lending rate is about 36%. And you are telling the ordinary market woman that go and reduce your prices. Reduce your policy rate so that there will be a pass-through mechanism. So the cost of credit will be cheaper. When cost of credit is cheaper, people can buy. And don't also assume that everything is imported. There are farmers who go to the banks, they borrowed money at 36%, they bought fertilizer at the old price. You are now telling them that the dollar has come down, so they should reduce their corn or maize price. How do they go to service that? So it's not as easy and as simple as you see it.
Na dom kuma wo mo mmrahye bedwam ye minority fo no wo mo epani eye honorable Haruna Idruso wo de ato eye minority caucus fo a wo mo ewo mmrahye bedwam se report bia efa eye wo 2023 budget na ehu ya efa eye atemu adwumakuo ne ho ye sikasem ya ebiso efa office of the special prosecutor ne office ne ehu no wo mo entwentwen so kura mema wo mo anyi ntum kopem se aban ebetimi abekire conditions of service ahodo a wo de echeche special prosecutor no the office.
I have just had calls from the judiciary. The request they made to the president has not been met. Nobody will lay a report in respect of the judiciary here unless we have the formal correspondence from the president in accord with Article 179 of his comments on the budget of the judiciary, and whether or not even a quarter of what they have requested is what you are granting them. So take note, Whip. No one should come and lay anything for the judiciary in the name of the Chief Justice until we know how much was the request made to the President by the Chief Justice and the judiciary. How much of it is the President granted? But for Special Prosecutor, Mr. Speaker, this whip and his chairman must be barred from going further to lay any report affecting the Special Prosecutor until we have assurances that he will be paid and paid his arrears. And persons recruited, you scrutinize them to know when they were recruited, whether they had board approval for recruitment or not, who asked who to go home and who asked who to come. Then you can lay the report. I thank you. So stay away from budget of the judiciary and special prosecutor, Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, all our reports at F are ready. They are physically ready for laying. What the minority leader speaks, it's good that he has his ears on the ground, because at the committee level it came up, and just yesterday we invited the Minister of Finance, and he was represented by no mean a person, by the Chief Director, and we have resolved the issues, and we have incorporated that the issue that you raised, that Mr. Speaker, Honorable Haruna would agree with me that once the issue that he is talking about is already incorporated in the report, he must not be in a rush to actually talk about it when we have not laid the report.
Na church-for pani Emma NDC amanyokunu eye honorable anase Owura Johnson asiedu enketia na ode atudwa samanfo ekeka se wo kwa kopre se chairmanship anase okofa ne okofa kratase yento ne so aba se wonye chairman Emma NDC amanyokunu amanfo bebreni na mframa mu eka se empanifo bi etese former president John Dramani Mahama na afi NDC Council of Elders for wo mo efrene se wonyai mema ne nkopre sa dibia no na sansem no amanfo ekeka ne nyina na enya de anokro bia bia mfre no enka saasem no enkyere no
audio Owura Victor Smith can say former president Mahama mum and a fro no kasa say menko but one
where you want dance before
well man tia dance
and Victor Smith no na former president spokesperson entro
o man fro say jai
kura obi am kan kyerem say obi ase waka kyerem say menyai either council of elders or the same former president officer. They should come out and tell me. Indeed, the man who say publication be say former president say yam funny din a contest.
Yes.
That is how far he could go in answering that allegation. Say wa premier to me phone man fan.
Okay.
So into obi o kan be that statement should tell you say or say on person din who be internal contest ya ewo party no mu no enti engine din free mu enti wa wona mu a opese still a wodi ni din be wura mu no ebi asa wo agenda foforo bi dia to bring him down and now you can go ahead to prosecute him
but that's a Victor Smith only mu campaign on pre-post ni bi minima say bia only no personal issues bia
personal issue but
interview or grant ni nyina no wo twa chipa
say one say kusi so beda ne ahwea say ni dua ebe yi so ono o sha ase yi o say na damfo pa ne me eno atu me fu say ma me nko na me say me ko Enti se eye no krese wadamfo pa ne me. E na watu me fu se me nkwa. E no ma me dane kromfo. E no ma me dane niema ifia o tugu me so no nyina no. Enti se saa na me tie na me ye wadamfo ampa. Enti na me mpese me respond to saa niema no. Enti ono a expose ne ho se so claim so ye madamfo say no onye madamfo because you can't say those things about your friend. What do you say?
I see.
Enti me ni akire but me
o ye wadamfo.
What say?
O ye wadamfo.
Oh, so he claims.
And you? Is he your friend?
Me until recently, the name Jenny say or madamfo. But nema all ye no. I just say bia say now or pretend this or madamfo. Na for a particular purpose. Na nye genuinely say or madamfo.
I see.
And unti na menso no. Oh. What the context kura beto sa claim no ho. Say President Mahama si menya na manyai. And unti no. Na President Mahama no. Boni be no aye wa. Inti ukobwa na tiafuo nyina di ukampe achi se ye nidi natem. Nipa kro na omudidi Mahama atem no. Nya wo mo na edidi asedu nkati atem.
Professor Bokpin eye economist ya osanso ye nimdifo ewo sikasem enhyehyeye mu eye professor of finance ewo University of Ghana Business School na wodi ato dwa se aban IMF support wo kokogye ye no ya ekame ye tese de ba ye haw nyina eto atwa no wono de wo hunu ne se esese ye nya amamwo mu ensakra ye governance reforms yetimi enya ne sa hyehye ne yi a eno ne betimi aboama oman yi yafa ye ntoma pa afra.
Economy. It's not so much about the technical economy, it's about the expectation. You have to be able to anchor expectation along a certain direction, and it's good for the economy. Because in August, the city lost more than 20% of its assigned value, purely on speculative. Okay, purely on speculative. So now that a lot of uncertainty has been dealt with, there's some kind of stability. And people also didn't understand that staff level agreement is not the same as a program. So they were actually asking the mission chief, when would the money reflect? All of that contributed to the sharp recovery. Because people thought that with the staff level agreement, the $3 billion is going to come like next week. What we have seen is good, which means that the system is reacting to the changes. Okay, if the city had continued depreciating, even with the announcement of the staff level agreement, then what next would we do? Unless we ask the president to resign. You understand that? But to the extent that these little things are contributing to the recovery is good. We need to strengthen that. We need to build on that. But what we should all know is that IMF program is insufficient to address Ghana's problems. And that if we want to come out of this comprehensively and sustainably, we need to initiate governance reforms. Ghana's problem is more governance, and that is what contributes to the economic mess. To do so, we all must come on board and make sure that the right reforms, because there are some things IMF will know, but it doesn't lie within them to do. IMF will not ask the government to reduce the size of government. They won't. If they care enough, they will do it, right? But we all need to, because now the price we are paying for correcting all this mess is becoming too much now. And that is why pension is being discussed at a time like this. That's the last thing anybody will even contemplate. Pension, you don't dream of touching it. But you see, that is where Ghana has gotten to. The next thing, when pension is no more, what would we be focusing on in addressing our mess?
Na Dr. Kunadu Apraku economist na fis wasanson ewo NPP amanyuku mu achepa wo kire sesese wo hwete bia o man ye namu pa obeka ne plane enye plane fa say National Cathedral no enya de ye hia ne sese kra
UTV nsam trefo na wotwe mu na yenya akwanya ne Dr. Kofi Kunadu Apreku a wo ye economist na osaye MPP for empanyimfo no baako na one UTV nsam trefo twetwe nkomo na wo kire se eniema ne bi wo ha Ghana man panyin na nado danko akufo ado eya osusu se ewo se wo ye nsakraye ewu ose oye obi a okọ asore oginyame di pa enti se obi esi asore dan anase bibibi a ebeye enkanya dum ede amanyame a oni ohaw kra wom nemmum enimenimu a ye ɛwɔ mu yi deɛ yɛsikasɛm ɛnyɛ nti national cathedral no a Ghana man panyin na Nana Danko Akufo-Addo ayɛ sɛ ɔne Ghanafoɔ ɛbɛboa no ɔmo asi no wɔsɛ ɛyɛ nanso so no mprempren deɛ ɔne amanfoɔ ɛyɛ adwene sɛ ɛbɛyɛ a ɔman panyin wɔntwe ɛnsan na nneɛma a animanim yɛ ɛsɛ ɛfata no Ghana man panyin na Nana Danko Akufo-Addo ɛno mom ɛna ɔnyɛ
ɛyɛ munyam a yɛhyɛ nyame sɛ yɛasi cathedral ama no mini problem me privately no mepɛ sɛ mede me sika bɛtoa so ɛkɔtomu bi si yɛmfansi nhyɛ nyame animuonyam na mmom sɛ okman no kuro no mu ayɛ den nyame onim more than yɛnim nyame onim deɛ ɛkɔ so yɛ ma yi mu omu ayɛ den na sɛ yɛntimi na yɛtwe kosi baabi na daakye yɛn ho tɔyɛ ne yɛtoa so a menim sɛ nyame bɔbɛfu on that account many places ɛwɔ wiase no National Cathedral no ya na contribution ene yede ye o nyame aye bibia ma wo aso wani o se medie ne mumfa enhye nyame anumonyam nipa bebrebe escafo businesses etimi e contribute na si aye ho sikire ye no se yen aye sika na wo se ye de koye dia nim se nyame wonim ya ho kire no se ne bumfu se ye de si ho for another 2 years or 3 years or whatever it takes ye ho beto ye kakra ne atoa so a menin se nyame bobefu
emra Dr. Kofi Kunedu apreko kan sem we ewie no na UTV nsam trofo ebuza na se na so waye na adwene se MPP fo ebie ekwan no to se obi opese se utu frank ade ma MPP amanyeku no na wotimi ede ko pre 2024 general elections no obepre ana ompre
de me minim ne se nyame aboa me de mi free a de nyame de ma besie no yes to those for whom more is given much is expected. Me no more than anybody that I know in this world, I have a responsibility. What I say is that a child to keep I have, a God to serve, and a nation to build. I think it's a meet me aboa amama so minyame asebu minyame and also build a nation, a de glory and munyam bema nyame. Because the mafemu amabedu han mean say there is a guiding hand. There is something that I nyame prepare me for. Because minim die me free by ti me hwede nyame de ma bidura e wo se me sumi di biba sumi di bibatum
Menemo kasa de delegation ya wo mu efri baabi ani anwea so bekwai empotem ho ya opani odi omanim di omkopie mu ewo abankesie mu eye constituency organizer ema NPP amanyokonoma kopie mu ewo abankesie mu enam so e de adesede kese ato aban anim se aban krache pani aban ehwe anim so obeyi ama wo mu ewo mpotem ho no wo mu esre no ada wo mpe obi a wo ahofama na oba be ya adwumaden se de be ya break the 8 no esi NPP 4 ani so no watimi aboa wo amanwo aye no wo mpotem ho
Bibiani anua so bekwai empesoa no dom frefo Joseph Bedu ebaba nsemu se empanyufo mo da empesoa hodo ni nano aye krado pa se break the 8 ani so ade huna esi NPP amanyoku nani so no mbehwe amanetimi abem na wopanyi echechi nsemu se ani so ade huna ibetimi abemu dia ene na party ne ma na omo fomfom no e wo se omo ne omo nkita hodie no etimi kwa anim na afin so ayonkofa ene adwuma eda emrahye bedwamfo afei party empanyufo ene abanya krachefo omoda mensina hodo ni nano no ebe konkan na etimi amankabom aye adwuma no fa akonya nso edito na Nana Danko Akufo-Addo anim se so oba abeyi mensini krach panyi ewo bibiani anua so bekwaya onhwe na wonyi oni cross sefata na ontimi mua onmunyamfo Alfred Obemboaten se de beya break the 8 ani so ade hunu no ebetimi aye adwuma
the extra mpani say de beye na breaking the 8 yetimi a breaki na vote MPP na e won bibiani anua so bekwai na a difference 3,000 na ye parliamentary candidate then honorable Alfred Obemboaten buy na ye 3,000 na otimi abepagem e dia kodu 17,000 nti ye wo gidie say so mampanin e bo MC din na o consult ye mrahye badwani honorable Alfred Obemboaten na honorable etimi enya obi obetimi ene na ye adwuma as MC ebema amanyokun ayakono obibiani anwa so bekwai ebema ye mrahye badwani enya ahoto etimi atrankran aye adwuma se de o se mrahye badwani eye isa se wo ye mrahye badwani na wo MC ohwe wachi a woni problem bia wo yam hyehye wa wo ye adwuma won kan wo nsuro wo MC a woni timi dwen adwenkro ebomu a mpuntu a mo pa ma oman no ekoso isan say aban de kakraba na mrehye badwani nso bɔ ne homoden na onso de kakraba ebomu anada bia na mpuntudwuma na efuro oman mu eno na betimi aboa ama breaking the 8 na ye pe no yetimi anya yesro mampani se MC oba bebodin yenim se nipa bebre befiri mia ba so mo ba bepre nanso ade ba ko as constituency executives as constituency MPP members ai wo ho yesro mampani se obi obeba bia opese obeye MC no yesre no kotodjogu form yensa de yensre yam yesro mampani ani die kwan so one yemra hye badwani entu agina ema yemra hye badwani anyintum ehu sampa metim no we adwuma enye nhye so na mu adesrede party no kanko party ne do said the beya party beya kono na breaking the 8 yetimi breaki na 17,000 difference na yewura Fred Obemboaten e de ato ho no yetimi apagye mama na abye more than 20,000 ti e na ye de adesrede kase wi e fa mframum ama ye mampani na nado danko akofo ado.
Na Ghana Publishers Association for womo ede aba montin ya womo echese omugina president eye Owura Asarekunedu yamo a omagina na namu na wakasa na wode ato aban anim se womo ema aban se bosumi beko na wie December ebeko na wie ye de eka bia aban ede won wo textbooks ahodo a womo print ema aban no esese aban hwe na wotua ma womo sese de womo ho ehiahia womo pa
conditions are de ma ye nyina ye di so books no your supply say 180 days or still supply books no to the warehouse of the Ministry of Education ye book no locally local printing ni nyina ye diso payment no kra o ka say you supply 50% o ma 30% your supply abro 50% ebi no supply on books nyina awie nanso so yesika no yen sankai ye dadwen ne say adwuma na ye nyina no publishers no ye free niema no na ye dey adwuma no o fa printing ye free book distribution ye free ye dey ka ye dey authors ka ye dey editors ka omu nyinara eti na ka ye dey da so ne senka sika no beba na ka ye dey twetwe omu ka ye nsanka sika no ye sra ban ne say minister ye ni na dinkuta ho e ma o ka kire den say and krata ni nyina om da ko get fund say get fund and they say tia yeka ya ko get fund and prebebre ye nyamwa ye bia na anu injwa de ya tro get fund administrator na ye pe meeting ye nsanka nti ye nyam
na aswe a wo hwe nkwada ene enipa eyi edie so no wo mo ne social welfare for adinkita ho aye forum bi ya wo mo akotoato adwen ahodo ahwe mmiamia ahodo a nkwada ye de wo mo kokɔhye ho bi wo ha na ye janka yakoto na twene ne ade ne ye de wo mo akɔ home bi se yenko na yentimi anase wo mo nkɔ wo ne yentimi enhwe wo mo ne no wo mo kyese mmiamia ahodo no ebie no eye na enhye nkran kranti free sabri ekɔ no wo mo kɔ na ɛho nhye nkran a wo mo ebeto home no emu
womo ewo institutions a womo hwe nkwala no womo beti ase se eho nya bia esa kwala nyi na oye penin wo ho yes akwala bi ebetumi de number ebia bibiesi maika yakadi bia koso na brabo mu nti wo se yeyi ni fi bebi owo no ye de no eba eho monom ana so se oni ohwefo nti honanam ana braba ya basabasa na ye de number eye den ya yebenya sankrofo ne bi ewo ye maimu nti si yi wo musa na edo mo ma omo na omo ahwo omo so kakra na wo mo hwo omo so na ye hwehwe ebusua ma omo from 4,000 plus ye nkwala sa bedu almost 2005 wa feeding asanya peja no do 3,000 plus na just nkwala bebre asanya ko residential homes na ye bonede ro asanya sisu biom say sabi so bi ni bia eno nche say ye wokoje ne ba de no kotena residential home na efie do ene ahofama ebusuafo wo ma omma no eboa momo ekọ kan wa brabo mu bebre chense wo betete wo montem e wo sa kwan no so ebi mu so ne omo ye no mo di piska efi say mukokra nkwala no nya ne ma oni nkwala sa ebusuafo fa na krom ho nkwala no so fa odu ho otwen ya obi baka se me ba beboa wa be ko nkwala bebre won le bi amkofa mo fiye omo fifi community no mo nti wunya kasa wo ba besisa omo pe na omo ne dwane kofi esi ebre nya nokre na ebi mu kra ya tum yesi yempesa wo beye if say standards no na enye yahwe say wase akosesa nkwala biom nti we say nti
na abasobode adwumade bi akoso nam so ema wo mu a wo mu ye adwuma e wo fango ene mframaja adwuma kuomu ahodo mu e wo maiga na mu yatumi abo wo mabaso e wo adwuma so ya wo mu eye ediaboa oman emu na adwumade no ekoso na anu fie da December da na etoso enkono e wo Kempiski Hotel.
About the petroleum hub, to come into the industry and enthusiastic about it. We think that strategically it will also take advantage of the Africa free continental trade. Now, we call on stakeholders to support the initiative so that we can curb the depreciation of our currency and reduce imports of petroleum products. Now, this actually comes with a political will anyway, and we hope the government and successive ones will align in that regard, because sometimes we speak, but if we don't have the political will, then there's a problem. Ghana imports in excess of over $100 million of petroleum products. Now, we cannot have oil and be poor. For me, that's my thinking. But unfortunately, in Africa, when you have oil, then there's a problem. But we believe that indigenous investors should have some kind of unwavering appetite for risk. The thing about the Ghanaian is that we don't risk, but it's riskier when you don't risk at all. So we believe that investors will have that risk and take advantage of an energy economy, which will see the construction of refineries, petroleum, petrochemical plants, storage tanks and jetties with port infrastructure. Now, the leadership should also avoid bureaucracies. Even as we want to put up such a hub, let's avoid bureaucracies and also adhere to championing local content, giving more room for employment.
Na adehye ni asukufu a wo mu ewo anyinam kutuku Roman Catholic Kindergarten kire se baby a wo mutena esuade no enye kura ebu ani ya anhwe ya to yenchempa ebisi ho no enya asem ketwa aban mehwe na wonsiesie suku dan no ema wo
edan ni nyina ewo so timofra ni wo mu a ade kire enkoso sanso na wodi bibia to ho a eyejoafo enti wodi bibia to wo pe na se mframa boy ya na ekọ ti dan no mu nyina ye basa ti ye besre NGOs ene aman penimfo se ye sre wo mu ala omo meboa na omo hwe keji ni mayen ni etosu mienu ye school no ye kita mofra 400 and so kwa dexes I work classroom from KG ekosi JHS a eye 80 dual desk no na se wuche mu a ratio no ye 5:1 emofra baako 5 na omo te dex baako so enti ye besle e ma de kire nkoso ye besla la se NGOs eye omo a omo kebia eye yie no omo mra na omo meboa yen na ye nya nkonwa na ye keji dan no so omo nya ma yen na afi ye teacher fo no aboa ama ade kire akoso wo school no
wo hwe culture display ene poem ene anwensam a mofre beka ye ya utumo se emofa na dwem wabuye na misusu se talent we say ma aban ma ne nko yensan fasa culture nema no san be wura education mu biem cause mu bi wo honom a we ya ne nnamu anom koye actresses ne actors enti mesra ban omu ye nani normal me on fasa culture nema no ngura mu biem na nkwala no ntumi display wo ho ane dia no se obe act we sha se na omanim smile se omanim na ni je ne opepa omode sa ene ade no a misusu pa se aban on san fa culture emehye education nim na ema excitement emremu na ema awofo nso eninye because some wa mobile mo hu se awofo bebre ka so obeyu but 5 cities no mu die America because eye na nije keke se ne ba esa na obi ehye
na adehye so a wo ewo Agravi Basic School ene asukuu for teacher for ne ahodo a wo ewo Asuti Fi North district mu ye wo ahafo ena wo so ekyese eniema enkoyie ewo hokora wo so school dan no wo kyese wo obi na emom no ICT ye asese wo enya ne centers ahodo wo pese wo timi suade na etimi bo no mkotro BC ya wo etimi achro ne yie ne eyade a wo eni bi wo srem panifo se wo hwe na wo sibi ema wo
se teacher phone nya computer na kwara no ankasa onye bia obochira ho na yesi mouse ni keyboard ni we a na teacher ni no abegina blackboard ni na obobo we mouse na obra bi si ho a kwara no di nsa ebeka no apo I hear that is a disiano and me pay na de chenso na ye ding na mo me kan hu se de ye no ha no ampara no we form 3 a omuni o ma ye won cry any plan kese ma o mu computer centers a computers be 100 good time ba kuma ampara bia ni computer e wo ho no o nyina kwa ko so we ba ko pe ye nyimu kasa Agravi phone kora no mo anya computer center nti mo question ni nkran phone kora nso mo de ni o nyina the same question enti mo ni mi be adwunu se e ho no na che se ye mi a ye wo ha ye nya computer center ye di be kira nkora na de no na che se ye hu ko kire e da hoyi e teacher for education director wora ma ho idea e be to woni teacher for no isa akano wonde e be o modin bi suka teacher for mi na ye tu mi ensa e be sre director wa idea e da wo ma o ko yi kan pa info wona mo e na yin teacher for e ti mi che mo for na de se ba ya mo masuya ane ade kire e be ko so from fo e wo school mu na fe ni e ka to kra e ya de se de kesia sabre e bo mo da kesia a e be kan wa se ICT computer lab no those students are boy said you have a fun car no computer no ha computer no enso ye ke be sremo adofo wo ha ananom letters awofo teacher fo obi piala esremo mo
ye nya teachers quarters said they be ye pet teachers beble o ye school han say they say ye ni teachers beble teachers na kakutuwa say a post school no nyina ko gamia nti ye sro aban so obeboa ye sanso na ye office ye nya ba bia ye di books nti yes
Yenjina Agravi for ehun sami so na yenkoje aboafo nkrato emra ye ba bongo di fara betranse na wone na pamfo atwetwe nkomo ewo agudi kwan so nti ye ko ne yabasisia menko ba bia